Just take one step at a time. In everything, God is in control. Just take one step at a time. You don't have to sell your soul for nothing to pay. It will be up sometime. God made it that way. As a spiritual test for you, just make a little break. Cause I've some patience along the way. Keep it going. To the top spiritually you'll be growing. By God you were chosen to walk along that road. Keep it rising to the top, to the
Good afternoon, good afternoon. It is Friday, January 30th. We are almost out of the first month of the year, people. Big up by yourself, big up by yourself. Welcome, welcome. You already know it's Dream Catchers BI.
Just take one step at a time. This is not for the same. The mistake is when you it's bad business and destroy relationships. Have patience and discipline with a whole bunch of love. This is not for the same. The mistake is when you it's bad business and destroy relationships. Have patience and discipline with a whole bunch of peace in my head. You are a beautiful soul. Just take one step at a time. Hey, in everything, God is in control. Just take one step at a time. Sing more, sing more, sing more, sing more, sing more.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome. Happy Friday, happy Friday. I am your host, Tiniqua Notes. Sorry for the late, for me joining in late, but I had to wait. But we're here, and that's all that matters. I feel so blessed and highly favored. Life is, let me just say, life is just life right now. I just want to give thanks to all my listeners and my viewers. You know, I truly appreciate you for just being here, listening in, calling and giving in your opinions, because your opinion matters. When we all come together and give each other our thoughts and opinions, we form a conversation and at some point we reach the solutions. So that's one of the biggest things is making sure that everyone is heard. You know, it is it is very important that we listen on all ends because you may have a point, I may have a point, but when all our points come together, we build a compass, and it would navigate us to where we have to go, because sometimes we're only thinking one sidedly, when everybody else has their own perspectives. Well, you only talking about this. Well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? And it's not to have an argument. It's to be able to have a conversation. So today we're going to be having conversations. I'm going to be speaking about my opinions in regards to the last state of the territory that was given by our own Governor Albert Bryan Jr. But before we begin, you know, I already know I want to big up my different peoples, big up the DTF Director Film, check them out right there by Quality, the big orange building down here in Christians Fed. Also, big up to Serenity's Nest. Tonight is movie night, and February 6th is the 6th anniversary of Serenity's Nest, along with Bob Marley's birthday. Tonight at movie night, 7:45 sharp. Guess what we watching? We watching One Love, people. Listen, me watch that movie in so long. And also, I am older now, so I'm gonna be able to watch it at a different context, Like I'm gonna be able to see things that I wasn't able to see before. But make sure I come out and support. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Miss Baptiste. Good afternoon, Mr. Wardrop. You understand me? Good afternoon, Mufasa. I love you. I miss you. But big up to yourself, all those listening on WSTX 970 AM, 100.3 FM. Big up to Ninja P because he there what about to spin the disc fire. I don't know when he get to play them, it'll make the whole place shake. Big up to all my peoples, all my supporters. And I just want us to be able to sit down and have an opinionated conversation. You know, Later on within the day, I'm going to be giving you guys another insight of what's going to be taking place in the Virgin Islands. Oh, also, tonight is also down by Queen Mary Paradises. There is a there is something going on, free entry, food and drinks on sale. Let me go. So Prophecy Song will be performing alongside other DJs. I want to give wrong information. Feel Good Friday. So music by Soul Prophecy Sounds, guest DJ Swain, 7 p.m. until. So I could come, watch a movie done by Serenities. When the movie done, I could go and feel good. And it's free entry, food and drinks on sale. And over by Serenity's Nest, we also got food and drinks on sale, live bar, open bar. If you want beer, you get cold beer. If you want to, a little mixed drink and you're feeling nice or whatever the case may be, you could get a mixed drink. Also, if you ain't want no beer, and you don't drink no beer, and you don't want no mixed drink, you just sit down and sip on some wine. And I gotta say, it's amazing to be able to sit down and watch a movie in that type of environment amongst your friends and even people you don't know. Because it's not like sitting down and watching a movie by yourself. You get to hear the different laughs coming from each side. It just feels welcoming. And this for the man them, let me just say, if your female been telling you, excuse me, you are not romantic. You have not taken me nowhere. You understand me? These are the places you need to be trying. Serenity's Nest is always open on Fridays and Sundays. But the biggest event is the sixth anniversary on February 6th. But let's get into today's discussion. The state of the territory, my opinion. Feel free to give your opinions within the comment section. I'll be picking individuals to read out what you have to say, how you feel, what you think. Also, go on Amazon, look up my name, Tiniqua Knowles. I just published two new books. One is called Words Have Power, Self-Help Devotional Journal, along with another one called When It's All Said and Done. Okay, so the governor had his last State of the Territory, which was pushed back. You guys know it was supposed to be the 12th, and it got pushed back. So on January 27th, you know, the governor went to St. Thomas, and I happened to be in St. Thomas. No, I didn't crash the party. I was over there to the doctor, what have you. But while going to the doctor, I was able to pass the legislature building, and I was there from in the morning. So I noticed people cocking up the legislature sign, sweeping up, cutting grass, and getting it all pretty up for the cameras eye. So it's not that they can't put in the effort to do and maintain. It's they to maintain and do when they feel like it, when it's beneficial to them. But that's besides the case. Adrift in reality. Virgin Islanders respond to Governor Bryan's final State of the Territory address by Tiniqua Notes. January 27, 2026, Albert Governor Albert Bryan Jr. final State of the Territory address was polished, deliberate, and strategically hopeful. The applause in the chambers was frequent, the language uplifting, and the narrative carefully constructed. But outside the room, beyond the smoke and mirrors and sugar-coated testimonies, the lived reality of Virgin Islands tells a different story altogether. This administration may call the territory anchored in progress, but for many Virgin Islanders, progress remains something discussed far more often than it is experienced. And if you know, on that day, there were union workers all around outside with these signs and even so much more. A speech that sounded good but didn't reflect real life. For nearly 2 hours, Virgin Islanders were presented with a version of the territory that feels unfamiliar to those navigating in it daily. We heard about billions in federal funding recovery, execution, stabilized systems, and historic achievements. What we did not hear was an honest accounting of the conditions people are still forced to endure, particular areas essential to human dignity, which will be education, healthcare, public safety, energy, and infrastructure. Across St. Croix, children attend schools in mold infested buildings with leaking roofs, outdated classrooms, broken bathrooms, no cafeteria, and learning environments that pose long term healthcare risks. These are not isolated incidents, they are widespread, ongoing. On St. Thomas, students continue to attend double session schools, many of which were damaged years ago. Children are still being educated in what was supposed to be temporary trailers, some of which have become permanent fixtures despite known mold ventilation issues. Temporary solutions have quietly turned into long term neglect. Y'all, the numbers to call to give your own opinion is 340-773-0390. Once again, that is 340-773-0390. Also, 340-773-0490. These are all facts, these are all truths in which we have to endure, our children have to endure. While they had their beautiful speeches, while he prepares his $100,000 documentary, none of this was recorded in any of those. These conditions persist after years of promises, studies, task force, and announcements, all while billions in federal recovery funds are repeatedly cited as proof of progress. Healthcare or life support. The governor spoke optimistically about healthcare, yet anyone who has walked into the Juan Louis Hospital on St. Croix knows the truth. The facility is barely capable of functioning at full capacity. Staffing shortages, equipment challenges, and infrastructure limitations continue to tighten patient care. Healthcare workers are stretched thin. Patients wait, families worry, and the idea that our healthcare system is on the verge of becoming a national hub attracting patients from neighboring islands feels disconnected from reality when residents themselves struggle to receive timely, adequate care. Now, remember, I told Ayo I was forced to go over to St. Thomas to receive my health, uh, my health care. One second, you guys. Oh yes, guys, don't worry. I have the team with me today. But like I said, you know, we know the truth. You know the truth. If you had to go to the hospital and was forced to wait hours on end just to be able to get seen, just to be told there's nothing that we can do due to the fact that we have limitations here in our hospitals. If progress is measured by outcomes, then healthcare remains one of the clearest indicators that we are not where we claim to be. Public safety and infrastructure still failing the people. The Virgin Islands Police Department remains strained and understaffed, with officers working overtime, excessive overtime, to compensate for shortages. Morals is low. Response times suffer, we all should know. Communities still feel unsafe. Guys, this is a 84 square mile territory. Yet, we continue to struggle with basic security infrastructure. Where are the comprehensive surveillance systems? Where are the functioning street cameras? Where is the strategic crime prevention investments we were promised? Street lights, something the governor proudly referenced, should be not a milestone, as y'all should know, in a territory that has received billions in federal funding. Streetlights should be standard maintained and expected, not celebrated, but let there be light, please. Energy, WAPA, and broken promises. 7 years later, Virgin Islanders are still asking the same questions. What those questions are? Why are we still battling WAPA outages? Where is the promised energy expansion? Where is the reliable, modernized grid? Residents continue to pay some of the highest electricity costs in the region while enduring unreliable services. Solar projects remain largely theoretical for many households, and energy stability continues to feel um, long on its way. accountability, or optics. Governor Bryan referenced the convictions of former cabinet members as proof of accountability. But accountability cannot be selective, nor can it stop at press release. Governor Bryan referenced the Virgin Islands sees the exclusive travels, the five-star hotels, the high-profile sporting events attended, and the documentary reportedly costing over $100,000 in public funds. They see broken infrastructure alongside extravagant optics. Now, if we're going to pay for a documentary and pay $100,000, I think the people that should be documented should be individuals like Wang Louis, Cyril E. George, and the list goes on. The governor has not proven himself to be anything worth going down in history rather than one of the biggest failures I have seen within my time. People, this is my opinion. Tiniqua knows. When the governor says, if you see something, say something, many residents are doing exactly that. And what they see raises serious questions about priorities, transparency, and the use of public funds. I see $100,000 going into boosting the ego of an individual who has yet to accomplish any promises that he has given the territory, that is surviving off of minimal accomplishments and trying to make it seem like as if it's something big, something worthwhile. Well, the list goes on. Schools are still broken, and a plaque goes to the one school that has been built over these past 7 years. The time that was put into building that entire school could have been put into refurbishing all the schools that are laying down in bushes, add-ons to modernize, you name it. This is just a joke. This is just for political theater. They're going to walk through that school 50 to 60 times to say, look what I gave them, look what I gave them, look what I gave them, when you gave us nothing at all. Because only a percentage, a selected few, will be able to attend those schools. So while a selected few is able to just enjoy the new atmosphere, what about the rest? What about the rest of the children who are forced to be going to school in mold infested facilities? What is up? What about them? What about those teachers? Why was that energy, that time, that construction not put into building back up schools in all the different districts? Why is it that Charles H. Emmanuel is still sitting in bushes filled with trash? Why is Evelyn Williams still sitting in bushes? The list goes on and on. Why is St. Thomas School children going to school on double session? Why? So that you could say that you built one building that is only going to be that is only going to house a selected few. And then what? Oh, let's leave it for the next governor. And then the next governor is going to be somebody that they appointed. You know, you had my back all year, right? You know, these 7 years I've been watching you, and it's your turn to take over. It's your turn. They're thinking they're gaining. They're thinking they're going to make a change. You know it's your turn. And all you got to do is a bare minimum and make sure that they get juve. And guess what? They're going to shut up and take it. That is ridiculous. That is like being a house slave. You're still a slave, but because you're getting a chance to sit at the table and eat your master's scraps, you feel like as if you're better, like as if you're getting something. We need to have morals and standards. We need a documentary that teaches our children who they are, where they came from. The numbers to call is 340-773-0390. All opinions are welcome. Now, let me just say, right? This is not even my full article. This is just a portion of it. But I stopped to be able to tell you guys how I really feel. Because in reality, it is frustrating. You know, a lot of you ask me, why you don't just run Tiniqua? Why you don't run Tiniqua? Well, why would I run in a system that is built to fail us? All they're going to do is try to push me down, run me over. Because look, for instance, we have several senators who step up and stand up for us. Senator Fonseca speaks up for the hospital. Everybody is upset. How dare you step in and say anything while we talking about the street lights that were supposed to be fixed and maintained from since Hurricane Irma and Maria, when we had millions and billions of dollars? How dare you ask us to take $500,000 and send it to the hospitals that continuously beg us for money to keep afloat? Hospitals that are forced to take on all types of, they have to deal with MAP not paying them on time. Here in the Virgin Islands now, MAP members cannot go to private dentists due to the fact that they have waited long and have millions of dollars in back pay bills that have yet to be paid. We cannot blame the hospital or the people for what has been failed to us. Accountability. Where is the accountability? You want hospitals to bring in paperwork. When they're going to bring in paperwork that just shows that the government owes them millions and billions. That's another bill on the government when they're still paying off so many others. So every time we take a step forward, it's like as if we have to take 10 steps back. The governor stated that, rushing change or rushing to fix certain things is going to cause us to collapse, in a sense. We didn't ask you to rush. We asked you to take 7 years and give what you promised. Your first term, we was changing course now. And within the midst of it, in the middle of it, good afternoon, we realized that we was changing course without a map, without a compass. We was lost at sea. Like Miss Merlene Langer said, SOS, SOS, SOS. And then, this should be a shame on the people. We allowed him to come back in, for him to sit down and laugh in your faces and said, one thing that is amazing about being a second-term governor is I don't have to be nice anymore. He don't have to promise you anything. He could just do as he pleases. It was to a point that when he addressed the people in a press conference, he took off a baseball cap, turned it to the people, and rested it down. What? That's symbolization of what you really care about. Being in the forefront, sitting in the front of these different games, you understand me? Going on lavish flights while taking your companion, you understand me? Why are we allowing for people to walk all over us here in the Virgin Islands? No. They don't like accountability at all. Because the minute that you start to hold people accountable, they want to get upset and pick and choose who should be held accountable. No. Everyone. We just had a situation with the MAP office. and the food stamp office, and we're going to get into that shortly. So Virgin Islands Sea, the exclusive travel, the five-star hotels, the high-profile sporting events, and the documentary reportedly costing over $100,000 in public funds. When the governor said they see a broken infrastructure alongside extravagant optics. When the governor says, if you see something, say something, many residents are doing exactly that. And what they see raise questions about priorities, transparency, and the use of public money. Raises without conditions are not progress. Yes, government employees and teachers receive raises, but raises alone do not equal respect, especially when employees are forced to work in unhealthy, unsafe environments. What is a raise worth when teachers work in mold-filled classrooms? What does increased pay mean when healthcare workers operate in deteriorating facilities? What kind of loyalty is being purchased when working conditions remain life-threatening? Leadership is not about buying loyalty. It is about earning trust, and trust is built through action, not announcements. The phone number to call is 340-773-0390. Once again, 340-773-0390. Feel free to call, give your opinions, give your thoughts and opinions. All is welcome. Also, 340-773-0490. If one line is occupied, you can call that one as well. So I really and truly want to hear from Ayo. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know how you feel about what was done in your face, how they played in your face, how they smiled and waved at the cameras, how they are paid applause. Please call us at 340-773-0390. Once again, 340-773-0390. I'll be waiting on your call. We'll take a moment to see if any of our people have any thoughts in regards to how they were played, how they basically came and spat in our faces and laughed after doing so. Let me put a number down here so I can see it. Feel free to call in. Feel free to call in, people. Good afternoon, everybody joining us on WSTX. Good afternoon, everybody joining me on Facebook. I want to hear from you, Mr. Fai. You understand me? I waited to hear from you. You understand me? The listening audience would like to hear your thoughts. Miss Pickard, I want to hear yours, but just come. Make sure you come with no bad word. You understand me? We're live on the air. You understand the frustration, but leave the you understand me? But we're gonna give everybody a chance to call in. I put the numbers down. If you guys need the number over here, let me put it on the computer as well. Good afternoon, caller. You on the air?
Good afternoon. Give me a second. Let me put my phone. Let me put my phone on charge.
Yes.
Okay, so you know,
Yes, please let the audience know who is calling.
good afternoon, Jamaica. This is Mr. Boy calling. This is Mr.
Awesome.
Boy. From Nico Mr. Boy, sure you want to call that. And I come in late, so I don't really know what topic is, but like I said, I only need a few seconds to pick up and I good to go.
Well, right
And
now we're speaking about right now we're speaking about the state and the territory that the governor had on the 27th. I'm reading my article and my opinion in regards to that. So I stopped in the middle at the raises. You know, we spoke about
Mhm.
the schools, the fact that they didn't announce the fact that schools are still mold infested. You understand me? Children in St. Thomas are still forced to go to double sessions. We also we also talked about the raises that was given, but what is a raise when you have to work in a mold infested environment, in an environment where would cause long-term health conditions. And also we spoke about the fact that the governor is putting up for more than $100,000 documentary when we have individuals like Juan Luis who deserves a documentary. You understand me? And so much others, the Hamilton and even more, you know, the list goes on. Who should have had a documentary to teach about true history? Because what history is here, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot, but it's still a small amount because you're going to have to deal with corruption. And as you know, I don't go around too much. Corruption has consequences to equal.
Yeah.
And everything we talk about that comes back to the same thing. And we're living in a different universe than them.
Mm.
I don't understand this because they must know that the schools are having issues. The AFC putting on little straight here and there.
Yeah.
There are people out in the schools protesting. We want anything. We don't want the vote. How much
Yeah.
money want to make to know what the problems are?
Hmm.
And then to see us into the territory address, where it's a recap of 7 years of basic field. And the people in Northern Ireland, I mean, you know, I know I'm not against the individual.
No.
I'm something against the offices, the whole. And the fact that
Mm-hmm.
to me, it look like it's incompetent. Because if I give you a job and I tell you, Nico, I want you to take care of all of the media stuff for me,
Yeah.
and then you fall in the media, you gotta go.
Yeah. That's what
And they,
happened. You gonna replace me?
and they retain failure for 7.5 years, and they try to fool people into trying to show that somehow they are now doing a reshuffle. Nonsense. They're
Mm.
fooling nobody. But in terms of the state of the territory address as a whole, it's a rosy picture that the government was trying to paint. They're going to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
the sad thing is that none of the senators, the delegates to Congress right now, who they say running for this and running for that, none of them come out and critique the state of the territory about the things that were missing,
Mm.
the funding that we're losing,
Mm.
the crimes that are committed,
Ah.
the cases that they've been thrown out because of failure on the government side. And
Mm.
then they go and they wrap up 11 people. I want to jump up about it.
Mm.
No, I ain't doing that. I ain't jumping it up about it and saying if there's any crime, it should be returned. But let's now look at the whole instead of just the small pieces. Because while they are covering up, in my estimation, the negative, it is those negatives that making the people suffer.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And you know, I appreciate your input because it lands right alongside how I feel, how a lot of
Mm.
the Virgin Islanders feel, you know, and you know, you said something really powerful. When the state of the territory came out, there was not one senator that came out and gave a critique stating, are we reading different documents here? Because this and this and this is not the way that you're saying it is. And what about this and this and that? It took Virgin Islanders to critique. But oftentimes, certain voices go on deaf ears. You understand me?
Right.
But I tend to not allow that to happen. That's why I open my floor to you all, to be able to give you all a voice to say what you feel. That day it was embarrassing to see that our they polished everything nice and good inside the gate and had high security blocking out the union members. There were individuals outside striking for better because they deserve better. They want better. How dare you go and lie in our face, in the people and faces? And like you said, now you want us to jump up and down because 11 people got arrested when they know that corruption goes deeper and higher than that.
Exactly. It goes way further than that. And the sad thing is, they made persons like myself and you and other people who just critiquing now, whether we critiquing aggressively or we critiquing right directly to them is a different story, but it's critique regardless. They don't want the criticism. And so they make it look as if you are complaining. And I say to all of the people in the world now, don't complain anymore. Speak directly to truth to power.
Yep.
You know what the solutions are.
Yep.
Like you. Instead of just complaining, these are the solutions. This is what you should have been doing. You're not
Exactly.
going to tell us at 619. And from when we started doing that, and I follow a lot of people, and then you came out, and I want more come out. I want everybody down there, they will run their own podcast, run their own show.
I want a mask like what we had for Juve. I want people like that. I want that kind of mask to be out here so heavy for their future. You know?
Well, listen. You see, we said stop complaining and we ain't gonna make the next to them. This is
Uh-huh.
what we gonna do. We gonna get checked, and we gonna get marshals. We gonna get right cartel. We gonna get booty. And we gonna do the same jump up. But the only difference is you're gonna get me free. But in order to get the pressure, you have to sit down and let me listen and talk about some of these politics that affecting all of us.
See there, I want Buju, I want Cartel, but come and listen about our state and the territory. You understand? Free. Right? Listen.
Free ticket for everybody under 28 years old.
Mm.
Allow them to register to vote.
See there?
With the registration, guys. Free.
Yep.
And we find it on and to tell them something about the
Okay then. And I agree with that, you know.
Yeah, when they come in with kids and them and they're giving champagne, jam and whatever, we don't know where they're getting money.
Yeah, they get sponsored.
Exactly. But we know where we're going to get our money. We don't get our money from.
Could you imagine 18,000 Democrats and only 100 that pays dues? And then the receptionists have the audacity to say, no, I don't tell them that if they don't pay the dues, they don't get the same benefits as a active Democrat. How dare you? What kind of representative are you? What kind of receptionist are you?
Well, I just put out the reel because I always listen to them. I put out the reel and I didn't know that I wasn't at them.
Listen. I got the same boat with you, you know. I get Democrat on top my thing. I mean, me hold the same. You understand? Me got a golden ticket. But I thank you so much for calling. Next caller, you could call. You could call in. Miss Safa, you could call back. You know, I think we lost you. I don't know what's going on, but I appreciate, the opinions. That's what we're here for. Mr. Moorhead, Miss Pickard, I'm waiting on your call. Please call back so the people can hear you. And no, don't listen to Mr. Moorhead. Keep the bad words there. We don't talk about this already. You understand me? The passion could stay on Facebook. You can call here all you want. You understand me? But not on air. You understand? We live on air. Oh God. Let me see. Good afternoon, Carla. Hold 1 second. Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah, good afternoon again. Listen, we're living in some rough times, Joe. You know, I think the devil around the place. It's good against evil. Power just went into so much power come again.
Hello?
But anyhow, I call you from my phone now, so you ain't over now.
I'm good.
But
I'm
as I was
currently on the
saying
radio.
about the
Apologies.
Democrats,
Yeah.
I have to put out some nice say
All
whether
right.
I just went out, I ain't a Democrat. I thought I was a Republican. It looked like I better be an independent.
Listen, I am funny, you know. No, it was Shirley Smith. Smith said the leave pick up because of bad one then. But you see the same thing. I thought that I didn't know I didn't have the golden ticket for being a Democrat. You know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want you to do me a favor. We get our next caller. Listen in and call me back and give me your opinion on what they have to say. Okay?
All right, I'll be listening.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Good afternoon. Oh, let's see, we lost you. Oh no. Please call back. Some reason we lost you. Try again. Ayo, we ain't gonna golden ticket, you know. I know that's like in Willy Wonka when they open up that chocolate bar and they see that golden ticket inside us. Only a selected few get to walk inside this actual factory. We ain't one of those. Good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Miss Mo.
Good afternoon, Miss Pickard. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I just have to say this is Donna.
Uh-huh.
There's more than one Pickard woman.
Oh, she making it known who she be.
Yeah, this is Donna.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I ain't have much to say, okay? Because I am in a different state of mind. So I'll tell you something. But Maria said, every man have a right to decide his own destiny, not people's destiny. His own destiny. Okay? But in a judgment, God don't have no partiality. You understand me?
All right.
I don't mind people wanting to do documentary and a legacy. But you have to have a legacy in order to write about it. You understand? Now, I will check my tax money and I will pay for a documentary on Sarah Lee King and one Francisco Louis, a documentary on Boyd Bryan, a documentary on Lorraine Berry, a documentary on Chucky Hansen, a documentary on a bunch of other leaders on Mario Moorhead, okay? And his sister Mary Moorhead. I would pay money for a documentary on people like that actually fight for the people, not fight for themselves.
Okay then.
Now, the governor said that anybody that tries to mess with his legacy, he's gonna gut them like a fish.
Right then, he had a knife. Start, go to yourself.
Don't try to kill a lion with a knife. You need a gun. Okay? So you need a gun. Your governor, your knife ain't gonna help you. Now, one thing people need to be educated on the government and how it is run. Today I tune into Mr. St. Clair Williams and I have much respect for Mr. Williams. Okay? The governor was on, he was talking, and a lady came and she was talking about a black hole in front of her grandchildren's school. Now, people need to understand the governor appoints the commissioners, the legislature approves or disapproves their appointees. And when it comes to your roads, it comes to your schools, there are people in place. That is not the legislature's job. Their job is to find revenues and to pass laws that benefit the people of the Virgin Islands on a whole, not individuals. Okay? Now, until people understand that this generation that we have now, there are a bunch of party animals. Okay? You could get them free tickets to Buju Bantam, to Vice Cartel, to Chronic. Well, I want free tickets to Chronic. To Junior Gun, I want free tickets to Ito. You could put the biggest lineup. But anytime they know that you're going to talk about what is really going on, they're not going to come. Okay? It's like the Pied Piper. He's blowing his fiddle and going, everybody following, he over a cliff. Okay? You do not throw pearls to swine. Okay? And even if you put lipstick on a pig, okay? So until the people of this generation now that's supposed to have the handle of the sword, look the blade and grab the handle, you understand me? And start to secure their future, we're in trouble. Okay? We are in trouble. We have a generation of lost children. All I could tell you, you know exactly why I raised you, how I teach you, you know how my mother teach you. Speak the truth and shame the devil. The truth are hard, but it's the most fairest thing to do. Okay? You live your life in a way that when you look at your children and your grandchildren in the face, you could know that you ain't sell them out. Okay? Never sell my soul for love, no money to no man. Okay? When all the rich guys watching.
Yep.
And one thing with these islands, people don't understand the significance of these islands. These islands are for themselves. Every amount of years and it's coming soon. And only the fittest of the fittest can survive. Okay? Only you see people current go to balling. What? Me ain't got no fun. Me ain't got no cable. Me ain't got this. Don't worry. Hard times coming. Don't worry about the governor. Look up to America and look at the president of the United States. You have 11 months left of your governor. This man in America just started. He is in 11 months of his 4-year term. Okay? Remember, read Revelation. World War III coming. Armageddon coming. You understand? It's better to be dead now than alive. Okay? If you really look at it. That we gonna suffer and don't worry about them 11 people, you know. What happened to the people them who got bad care, bad this, bad that, and they still getting food stuff and MAP? What happened to people that live on other Caribbean islands and still getting food stamps in the United States Virgin Islands and could take a boat and come and shop and go back, cross the water with a thing? Don't play with me, you know. Don't play with me. I worked 25 years for the Department of Human Services, and 2 people that will remain, I ain't gonna call their name, but you know what they do to me? Because they say every tub must sit on its own bottom. I come into the Department of Human Services not because my aunt was a senator, my sister was a senator, my stepmother was a senator, no friend of mine. I went on welfare to the job program and get my job. And you know what? 2 people in the personal payroll department too sporadically paid into the retirement system. So now when I retire, they're telling me I owe them $20,000 before I could get a dime. But a good thing is, my grandfather fought in World War I for my freedom, and I entitled to Social Security, and that's what I want to live on.
Wow.
They said, God tangled by the feet, a man tangled by the tongue. You understand? Be careful to your nail and craft. You have a good day.
Yes.
And I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You keep it up. Never sell out for nothing.
No.
Because when you sell out, it's going to affect them poor children that ain't got nobody but a mother. You understand? Pure correction. You're dirty. You're taking people that don't have no federal time to appoint them in federal prison with people that doing life. You're wicked, Miss Warren. So you know how you get it. Okay? You know how you get it. Don't worry. There are people in that same correctional system. They're going to pay them to read your file. And some of them doing life. And they ain't got nothing to lose. You don't tell them they ain't going to see St. Croix again. But remember who used to drive people out in a trunk to go to the house. Okay? And you're dirty. And that note, I'm going to, you know I'm going to come next.
Yeah, keep it over there. You can bring it on it. You can bring it on it. You can bring it to the comments, but not on the ear. I say you can bring it to the comments, but not on the ear.
Don't feel no way. It's coming close to payday.
Yeah, man, blessed and highly favored over here, you know.
That's right.
Who just bless no man cost.
A royal priesthood, a holy nation, and a peculiar people. Okay? We believe in a true and living God. We don't do necromancy. And your governor is an adulterer. Okay? So he passed all of that, but God gonna say, well done, you good and faithful son. And maybe Satan gonna tell you that. But God ain't gonna say that to you unless you repent.
Okay.
Ain't too late to know. You can repent now, boy. Good afternoon.
And be blessed and thank you so much for the call. You know, thank you. The numbers to call is 340-773-0390. You know, and 340-773-0490. Make sure that when I am calling in, let me see. Hello, good afternoon. Hold on 1 second, let me put you on the air. Good afternoon, blessed and highly favored. How are you today?
Good afternoon, blessed and highly favored as well, my dear. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for stepping up to say young, Virgin Islander,
yes,
and speaking truth. The problem is that our people stay in back corners and don't come out and say what they need to say. And I want to applaud you for being strong and doing what you're doing.
I appreciate
I know
it.
It takes a lot.
Yes,
I'm talking to young people to do that. They're scared for whatever reason, and you have shown strength.
Yes, I will continue to do so. And I have to, because after me is my children, you see. And if I don't pave a way, they're going to be going on patrol roads like what we have down here in the Virgin Islands. And then patrol will turn into craters, and then them craters going to be hole in the ground that they can't even patch no more. You understand me? So I have to stand up, I have to speak up, and I appreciate you for, you know, giving me my flowers while I'm here, you know, because sometimes we don't hear that. You know, I appreciate you for calling in and for giving me that insight, because there's people like you, people like Miss Pickard, Miss Afai, that, you know, gives me the courage to continue, you know, and also gives me the hope that there is better, there is something that will come, you know. So it's not just me, it's all of us.
You are an excellent messenger.
Yes.
You write very well.
Thank you.
Okay, and I take the opportunity to share your letter before this one when I shared it. Got over 21,000 views.
What? You give me goosebumps about what? Thank you, I appreciate you, man.
No, your voice is strong. I want you to keep that tenacity.
Yes.
And give you a virtual hug. And thank you for your energy.
Thank you, I appreciate you. You know, I keep pushing, because regardless of what the devil tries to put in my way, I'm not going to allow him to stop me. You know, I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm striving for better. You know, God rest Robert's soul, but I thank him for him and WSCX for giving me a platform to be able to give the people a chance to hear my thoughts. And even if they don't like it, you know, they could suck out, but it's the truth, and the truth shall set us free.
Well, friend, I always remember this. They don't have to like you, but they got to respect you.
Believe
And with
it.
much respect, I'm gonna let other people call it.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. I like that one. You ain't got to like me, but you gotta respect me. Have a blessed day, mama. Ayo, thank you, thank you. The numbers to call is 340-773-0390 and 340-773-0490. 1 second, Ayo. Fix something. Yeah. Fix all of them. Fix it. Now. Yes, 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 people. I remember I get my kiddos out there. Um, gotta make sure I check on them every 2 seconds. Hi, hi, auntie, how you doing? Big up to Trisha. You understand? Um, one of the best teachers over there in Complex. You understand me? But let's continue. Until we get some more callers. But we we stopped off at the fact that raises, what is a raise worth when teachers work in mold filled classrooms? What does increased pay mean when healthcare workers operate in deteriorating facilities? What kind of loyalty is being purchased when working conditions remain life threatening? Uh, That's okay. So we have Mr. Phillips said the Democratic Party need to be revamped with new leadership. The party is not demonstrating accountability and transparency to its members, making changes to our bylaws and rules without. I gotta press see more. It's a long one. Oh, there we go. Without two-thirds votes. Ah, there is ex- executive cabal that is running the party and not respecting the full body vote. Okay, then we get this crazy idea of having to be vetted by the party and board of elections is the most ridiculous thing I am hearing in politics. How can you be collecting dues when the district committee are not properly organized according to the bylaws? All right, then I'll hear it there, right? All right, the people talking. Good afternoon, good afternoon.
By the party.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. You on the air?
Good afternoon.
Yes.
The Democratic Party. The Democratic Party. There are a bunch of Democratic clubs.
Oh,
Okay?
Lord,
There are people that come and register as Democrats and they don't have no respect for the reason that the party exists. That you only have a handful of people that are really trying to keep the party itself alive. Okay?
Could you elaborate so the people can understand? Could you elaborate?
What the party needs to do is to put out a call for all registered Democrats to come to a meeting. Tell them what the dues are. You understand? Explain to them the importance of the party. Instead of everybody saying, oh, they did what we pay for election and we pay for election. Of course you're going to pay for election. There's no democratic convention where we could go and we have these dues paying members. And if you're not paying your dues, technically you're not an active member of the party.
18,000 to 100.
I registered, I am 63 years old. I registered as a Democrat when I was 18 years old. My father, stepmother, Leonil P. Garden, took me to the board election to register as a Democrat. Like 3-4 years later, I was done with the party, and I said I'm going to change my registration to ICM because that's how I feel in my heart. So the day after that, you know what she told me? And she was the chair of the Democratic Committee. She don't hold all the offices you could think of in the Democratic Party. She told me, no, the reason why you register to be a Democrat is because you get to vote twice. You understand? You get to vote to tell who gonna go in the general election. And I'm gonna tell you why too. I put a vote for years. You understand? And it wasn't for nobody in the Democratic Party until people like Gittins come into the party. And you said something about people critiquing what a governor speaks about. That is a PLA did. You understand? And he put it in perspective that I was not going to subject myself to listen to that gentleman.
So proud of you, yes.
You understand? I wasn't going. And it's only out of respect for the Lieutenant Governor of Virgin Islands why I won't be so nice. Because that man is a gentleman. You understand me? He have a good heart. I think he has the good intentions for the people of the Virgin Islands. It's unfortunate that he had to be a part of his ticket. Okay? But I'll tell you something. If anybody knows the present governor personally, if he, like when one of the talk show hosts them tell you that people want 50 hours, you know what he said? Instead of laughing it off and saying, no, well, yeah, sorry, bam, bam, whatever, or why they want to, he said he want to pick off some people, so that's who we have as a governor. He's arrogant, you know, he's self-centered. You understand? And look what he do. You think that it's good to see him walking around with some next woman? If you in love with she, why you ain't married her? There is something called moral turpitude. You understand? It's supposed to be a class to disqualify you from being a candidate in certain places. You can't go in certain places in the world to your wife, the kingdom that he to his wife, and still run as governor. But hey, you got youngster as president, so what do you expect?
Yeah,
and when he's done, he ain't gonna say, look at people like them, that is what makes Jeffrey Epstein do what he do. You understand? And get away with what he get away with.
And get help too.
And they help him. You understand? They help him. And even if they didn't say nothing, your silence is agreement. I want to know and you don't say nothing.
Carla, please
hold. You understand? If you don't stand for nothing, you will fight
for everything. Thank you so much.
Like I tell you, just remember people.
Carla, please.
I ain't got nothing to lose. Remember that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Good afternoon, Carla. You're there.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. This is Ms. Snow.
Yes, speaking.
Yeah, hi, I'm Chaz Hollywood Mix. I'm part of the WSTX team, not as a talk show host, but a radio personality.
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to commend you.
Thank you.
Your age, that's right, for not just being a journalist as well as an author, but speaking out.
Yes.
I believe a lot of young people, you represent an age that a lot of young people need to look up to you, and they themselves need to come out and say what I have to say. Another thing too, I believe earlier you mentioned the fact that you were asked many times, why don't you run for the Senate?
Yes.
Now, these, I've been asked that a lot of times myself, because my response was, I cannot represent people who love abuse. People love abuse.
See, that's why we're not part of the same team, You sound just like me.
I mean, if we can come and tramp to Juve,
oh my God,
and this and that, why don't we tramp to the Government House, tramp to the Senate, and at least let them know what's going on in an orderly manner.
Thank you so much.
That's all right to do. Also, I'd like to add as well what I was expecting our governor to address during the State of the Territory address as follows. Number one, the St. Croix Mall situation. I've heard anything about that. Number two, Alexander Henderson School, Lumber Yard. I've heard anything about that. Number three, aside from the Dr. Melvin Evans Highway lighting, what about the other dark roadways? I've heard anything about that as well. Number four, VI history and Caribbean history not taught despite court order. I've heard anything about that as well. Number five, what measures are in place to stop the increase in crime with an understaffed police force? I've heard anything about that as well. And lastly, our mold-infested schools.
Yes.
I've heard anything about that as well. Okay, now, I spent 33 honorable years of service with the Ferdinand Police Department. I've worked on all three islands, different operations and whatever. And I must say that the crime situation, I don't like what's happening. I'm retired, but I really don't like what's happening in our community. I believe the funds, cyberspace needs to be utilized in order to bring our community under control. What I'd like to see also is our representative coming out and speaking out against the crime situation and addressing the criminal element directly. Not just telling the people, well, if you see something, say something. Yes, they know that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people say something and then they become victims themselves.
Yes.
Okay? Now, I know this because I have confidential informants that have told me things and I will go to my grave with it. Not even my lovely wife will know anything about that.
Yeah.
See, that's the trust and respect. I still have people now that call on me, and I try my best to pass information on and do what I have to do to our department. Lastly, this afternoon I was up at the Banco Popular at Orange Grove. I met a lady, an illegal lady, even in the outer lobby. And when I was coming out, the spirit told me to approach her, and I did. I said, hi, so you're waiting here so much? I said, I'm waiting here so long. So I thought she was waiting on relatives to come pick her up.
Yeah.
She said she's waiting on the Vitron bus for long. And she said that this is not the first time that happened to her at different locations. She even said to me that the bank employee or staff member had called to find out what's going on and why is it taking so long to come and whatever. And all the response I was getting was, well, she just has to wait.
Wow.
So what I did an interview with her tape, which I'll play on my show coming up on Monday. I played I taped her and she expressed herself on tape.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play it on my show as well to hear what she has to go through. So what I did is I called 911 and I told them this is not an emergency. However, I would like you to have a Vitron bus come take this lady home.
Yes.
She's seated here so long. I mean, she might have to go to the bathroom, whatever. I mean, the sensitivity of our community is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I really don't. When people are coming up and telling people, well, oh, because you're talking out of turn, why don't you run for what? Why don't we get together and unite? We just celebrated Martin Luther King Day. You're not ashamed? I mean, think about it. We just showed, what are we celebrating?
So, and it doesn't have anything behind of it because we celebrate Martin Luther King, but his more what he stood for, we're not even standing for it, you know.
I mean, Martin Luther King's day when we did 3 dead bodies in Concordia dump area. I mean, come on, I haven't heard anything further concerning that. Why? That is the problem. And you know, when I was public relations officer for the VIPD after Hurricane Hugo, I met a very challenging situation because at that time there were rumors was all over the world that I was killing white people on the island, and that's nonsense. Fox News came down, shoved a camera in my face, asked me if I'm Charles Miggs. I said yes. And they said, well, what's all this killing on the island? What killing are you talking about? Okay, the guy looked at me like I'm an idiot. I said, okay, I'll tell you what you do. Come with us. I called Dr. Glenn at the time, God rest his soul, Dr. James Glenn, and I took them over to the hospital. So when we got there, they asked me, well, what's going to happen now? I said, well, I'm taking you to the morgue. He said, what? I said, no. I said, you all said that we're killing people, so I'm taking you to the morgue. And the guy said, you know what? Forget it. Don't worry about it. I said, well, next time, anytime I have anything to say about the Virgin Islands, make sure you tell it with Government House or myself. Well, don't publicize it. See, this is the behavior of people because we take things, we accept things too much. So again, let me end now. and give someone else a chance. And again, I commend you. There's nobody that I'd like to meet you in person and just continue doing what you're doing. Okay, people don't like you. People don't like you. What to do? You care. I have to care less.
I don't care less either. You know, it's about my future, my children's future, and the well-being of the Virgin Islands. We should all be able to embrace this island as a paradise, not just short-term visitors.
Sure, I agree 100%. And I also was watching you. That was New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. All gunshot fire.
Okay, then. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we have to sit and endure. And you want to know the part about that? The police stated right prior before the New Year's celebration, you know, this is a yearly thing they do, you know, annual thing. And they said, we're not going to tolerate this, you know. We ain't going to tolerate it. And you want to know what happened? They tolerated it. They sat back and they allowed it to happen. Not one police car came through. You understand me? And the thing about it is, okay, I understand both sides. The police department is on a strain due to the fact that they have little to no backup. And then the people at the Virgin Islands, they feel like as if they have to defend themselves because the now known thing is, you hurt me, I'm going to kill you. So one person have a gun, the next person said, well, if he going to get a gun, I'm going to get a gun too. You know, so nobody is figuring out how these guns are getting into the territory. Somebody can shove an AK-47 in their suitcase and come on an airplane with it. Somebody can dismantle it and send it in a post office. This is why we need inspections for these big shipment containers that come in here, and also for gun owners, individuals who have gun license that are selling ammunition, selling parts, and so be it. You know, even Army nationals and stuff like that, those who are in the Army base, we have to just become real, because at some point it's gonna at your door. It already knocked at my door. My children are without a father. You understand me? And then they're without their stepfather because he had to step up and protect us. Because if he didn't, he would have been another one 6 feet under. Yes, but thank you so much. I appreciate you for calling.
Sure. Take care. God bless you.
All right. God bless you too.
Give the big of love kids too.
I will. Thank you. Good afternoon. One second. Let me put you on ear. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. Yes. I was listening to you, and you just said that nobody could mail AK-47 to the mail to the Virgin Islands.
Well, you know what I mean. No illegal ones. You understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, you know what happened. Anybody can go to mail to the casino control.
Wow. Wow. I hear this, right? AK-47 game mail. Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to come in here all kinds of ways. All kinds of, you know, boats can pull up to any short boats that pull up and dump off illegal aliens.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they pull up and dump off a case of, you know, AR?
Yeah, they'll dump drugs and let them float. And exactly. I understand what you're saying. They come in all type of ways, but this is why we should have security in all these different places. You know, at the ports.
But that is now a real problem, though. They have places in the States where guns are more plentiful. Basically, I was listening there. I just was safe to assume everybody and their grandmother had a gun.
Yeah.
Everybody and their grandmother that I knew had a gun.
Some people have guns in all different rooms.
Pardon?
So some people have guns in all different rooms. A bathroom, they are gun. The living room, you know.
Young lady I knew slept with a gun under her pillow. You know, I thought that was crazy, but for this place, and another guy I hung out with, he rolled around with a 45 right by his emergency brake.
Wow.
You know, it's just, but the murder rate was so much lower than here.
Wow.
And our problem is not really so guns. He had an issue, but our main issue is we want to kill each other. That's our problem. And so if you got rid of the gun, we still have that problem. How can you build a society when we hate each other? When we can't work with each other. They had a big film in St. Thomas, something like going on 8 years, where people were working at one of the hotels to rebuild it after the hurricane. And one young man took a shovel and knocked out another young man that was working with him.
What the hell? At least it was a shovel.
Yeah, this is right. But how can that disrupted the work? I'm sure there was no more work done that day. You have one guy going to the hospital. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
Yeah.
We cannot build a society when we hate each other.
That is
what we need to work on. The guns, yes, police do their thing and whatever. But that isn't the main problem. But there are places where guns are, there's a gun shop on almost every corner. Guns are readily available. And by the way, it's nowhere close.
Like basically, like you said, guns don't kill people. People kill people. It's your mindset,
right.
And
I mean, it needs to be gun control. Because the world.
It's too much. It is too much. It's too much.
So I'm not arguing against gun control.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
At the end of the day.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's bigger than that.
And that's why I push and I ask them.
I think the case is the man used the shovel. So you got rid of the gun.
So even if it's not a gun, it's gonna be something else. So basically, like what they call it stated is, it's a mindset. It's the state of the people. Is the fact that when we look at each other, we hate what we see, and I really despise that. The fact that we have come so far as African Americans, even Latinos, all these different cultures that are entwined in the Virgin Islands, to be free, to then look at each other and hate what we see or envy. We are unable to be proud of or to be able to just acknowledge and uplift each other. Rather, we rather kill each other, to either take a spot or for ego or pride and all these different things, So I totally understand and I agree with you, and I speak about that a lot because, like you said, gun don't kill people, people kill people,
and this is something that each one of us can easily help out. We can't go out and protect the world. We can't search the things, so the gun thing, the police and the law officials, our law enforcement have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But the attitude and how we feel to each other, this is something that.
But that has to start. That has to start deeper. It's only a handful of individuals who can hold themselves accountable. So this is why I push for anger management, behavioral programs, and conflict resolutions within our schools. Today I had a meeting with my son, and it was a parental conference with a young man. They were playing sports, and because one of the teams was losing, he got so upset that he started to curse and carry on, and it went from one thing to the next. And could you imagine children on a field getting upset? They're children, right? So they're just going off of emotions. There is a monitor there sitting down watching them go through the different phases. From the time the frustration builds and one bad word slips, they should have had intervention, and somebody should have come in and tell them, this is not how you do. This is not proper sportsmanship, like how the assistant principal stated they should have. But how do you expect a child to have sportsmanship if it was never taught to them? Who's going to teach it to them? Are they going to pull it out of the thin air? It needs to be taught.
And that's where adults need to step in.
Exactly.
And say, hey, look, this is how you handle it. Yes, you're going to get mad.
Of course.
It's what you do after that.
Exactly.
That decides the outcome.
This is the thing.
It doesn't take a law enforcement, it doesn't take special training.
Yes.
It just takes an adult being an adult and realizing that they need to teach children proper behavior before they grow up and continue with it, and now do it with a gun.
And now
As they get older, they have access to more than they did.
Yes, and I want to
deal with them and create the mindset that they won't go to that.
And I want to say this, Ms. Pickett stated it starts at home, but
yeah.
I want to say this, right? Could you imagine? And I know that you all know, being elders, home gives you one set of discipline, but once you leave home and go to school, you're supposed to obtain another set of discipline. They're supposed to hold you accountable and hold a certain standard. So if home is doing the work, and then you send your children to school, and school allows them to do whatever they want to do until it comes a big issue, what are we doing? We're basically pounding a nail and allowing it to be screwed back out after when they leave.
What people have missed out is when they took school clear out of school, it's not really, that wasn't the problem. The problem was after they took clear out of school, schools stopped dealing with the social portions of people. They took a hands-off approach to everything. So they couldn't continue teaching right and wrong. And schools are also our safety net in society. So of course, some parents are not going to be able to raise their children in the way they should, because of their own experiences or what they're going through at the time. Somebody might be going through divorce, lose their job, and so now they're not really focused on the child.
Yeah.
Schools are the safety net to catch. So that's our only other. What churches used to do it, but people don't go to church anymore.
Yeah.
But they have to take their children to school.
Yeah.
That is our.
And they're there about 8 hours of the day. So in that majority of the time, when parents are at work, and they have from early morning 7:30 until 3:30 or 5 o'clock, if they have after school, that is majority of their time. And like you said, when parents come home, they're tired. They had work all day, so they're not thinking about, okay, come, let's have a talk about your behavior. Let's have a talk about sportsmanship. And not all households do it. Some households do it, but not every single household does it. So at school,
that don't do it, and we have to catch those children.
The thing about it is, let's just make it clear. School is there to teach you. Children are there to learn. So if they're there to learn and you're there to teach them, then they should be taught about proper conduct, anger management, behavior, especially in an environment that's filled with endless violence. Let's not even label the violence, because violence goes as deep as assault by hand, domestic violence, gun violence. You understand me? The list goes on and on. We have to teach them somewhere. And even so, I feel they should have grieving counseling too.
Award we gave at the end of the year to each class, the Good Citizenship Award, where the students who behave the best, who behave like how we would want people to behave in our community, got an award that year. But by the time we got to the 80s, that was on.
One of my... I'm listening.
Learn to think in schools, the academic and the social behavior. But as time went on, the schools stopped messing with the social and only went strictly academic. And now we have people killing each other in the streets on a regular basis. And
we can't blame, and we have to just be real with it. The blame needs to be not only put on the individuals, because after you grow up, even though you wasn't taught it, you have the opportunity to teach yourself. But the blame begins first at home, but if home was doing it, it stems in school. And one of my listening audience, they said, additionally, what happened to the after-school programs at the recreational center? Even if there's after-school programs, let's be real with each other. Some people don't have the transportation.
All of those things that help with the social part of people.
Exactly.
Those programs have gone their way.
And I feel they should put them in the different neighborhoods. you know, so it could be easily accessible. You know, some people don't have transportation, some parents don't have the time, you know, so it should be put in the neighborhoods as a form of, instead of the child being home alone
And that's
or
what
idle.
Those stuff a lot. Back in the day, they were neighborhood type of thing. You know, the churches were neighborhood. They were, type thing. They were in the neighborhood. So you had a lot of stuff. But then people started taking on this thing is, I don't want nobody to tell my child nothing.
Well, then your child will end up either in jail or dead, and that's the simple part of it. You know, that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, didn't come out of thin air. It came out of when you don't have sight of your child, somebody, an elder that knows better, can see your child doing wrong and tell your child, hey, you know you can't do that at home, so don't do it wrong here. When they have children around me, they respect me.
All the time and be everywhere. You're in one place, it means you're not, you're in anywhere else. So if your child is not on to you 24/7, you're going to need so much so to keep looking at what they're doing, and when they step out of line, to tell them and do something about it.
Exactly.
You can't always be with your child. So having this attitude that I don't want nobody to tell my child anything, then that's saying you don't want your child to be raised.
The simple
because
facts.
there's going to be times where they're not going to be around you.
Exactly.
So at that time, what they're doing, raising themselves.
Yep, they're going based on what they want to do. Mommy ain't there, daddy ain't there. Well, this bad what that me wanted, like I said, or this, or me going over here and going up the road and all these different actions that me supposed to do wrong with mother, I'm gonna do it right now. You understand? Children become different in the presence of their peers. So in schools, I feel they should be held accountable. They should be taught how to act. This is how we build civilization. This is how we build. Schools didn't come in place just to teach you reading and writing, and it taught you how to be a proper human, a civilized human being. Or else, guess what? We'd still have cavemen all over the place.
My children were born here, they were born in the States, we live in the States, and I was like looking around, I was like, okay, it's okay for now, but as they get older, I don't, the place, it wouldn't be a good place to raise a black child.
Yeah.
It was great for when they're small, but after all, when they start thinking, who am I? What we're going to teach to the world, they're not going to see much example.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, it's like, okay, looking around the United States, where could a good place to raise a black child? At the time, I couldn't really think of any other than Atlanta, but even Atlanta, that time, it was just developing, and it still wasn't like you couldn't find a black neighborhood that was doing things. The black people that were doing things were spread out over Atlanta. And I thought, I was like, wait a minute, always a good thing. Yes, they have people doing nonsense, but you have a lot of people doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I was told with that I wanted a society where I'm not the only one raising my children.
Yeah.
That they will be involved in it. And it worked out perfectly. I had staff members and what here, the teachers at the schools were, like-minded. I knew that when they went to school, if my children did any nonsense, they would tell me about it. I knew every time I went to pick up my children, drop them off, so that the teacher has an opportunity to tell me if anything happened.
Mm-hmm.
I truly... My whole point of moving home was for this.
Yeah.
Looking for a place in the United States where I could get this.
This is supposed to be our home. We should feel as if this is where our children should be able to find themselves,
Exactly.
and that's why it's very important for us to teach our children about their history and implement history, BI history within the schools. I know a bill was passed, but a bill being passed doesn't mean that action is being taken to actually implement it there. We're coming up on time. I appreciate you and your opinions and everything. I hope to hear from you next week, and everything that we spoke about, it needed to be talked about, from the guns down to the children.
Yes. And then we have to realize that we can't make it on our own. Even the smallest tool of a pencil. No one man can make the pencil. There's the rubber, the lead, the wood, the metal band around the thing. No one man has the capabilities and experience to do all of that. We do it just to get a simple pencil, it takes a society.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about raising a child. How is that not done with the absence of a society?
Yeah.
If we can't even make a pencil by ourselves.
Yep. You know, and I truly appreciate you.
A functioning adult by ourselves. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you know.
No problem.
And we're grateful always for your opinion, you know. But I thank you so much and I wish you the best weekend, you know.
Yes, thank you.
I'm about to close out, so I don't be taking up nobody else's time. But thank you so much again. And I'll see you guys next week. See you next week. So before we close out, right, let's finish up because this sector always seems to get forgotten, you know, within the state of the territory, the last state of the territory announcement, you know, who was left out? Not once in the governor's address was there meaningful acknowledgement of the private sector, despite the fact that private sector workers are also Virgin Islanders, also struggling with cost of living increase and also impacted by failing infrastructure. And while the run cover over increase was celebrated as a win for government retirement system, the residents were simultaneously told they must now pay more to rebuild hospitals, effectively asking the people to finance the consequences of decades of governmental mismanagement and corruption. Why must Virgin Islanders always be the ones picking up the pieces? 7 years of promises, little to show. After 7 years, we're still asking, why is the territory still unsafe? Where are the cameras? Where is the state-of-the-art health care we was promised? Where are the mental health facilities? Where are the adequate hurricane shelters? Where is the transformation? Progress that exists mainly in speeches is not progress, it is performance. Progress that, I'm going to repeat it, progress that exists mainly in speeches is not progress, it is performance. You can fool the room, but not the people. The governor's speech may have sounded impressive, but it did not reflect the reality lived by thousands of Virgin Islanders every day. A well-written address cannot replace functioning schools, safe hospitals, reliable energy, or accountable leadership. You can fool the room, you can fool the cameras, but you will never fool the people who live this reality every single day. The Virgin Islands does not need more speeches about progress. We need leadership that delivers. Now, that is to close out that situation. You know, just to touch a little basis on the situation with the 11 employees, I'm going to be real with you. You know, where was the supervisors when these things was happening? You understand me? And I talked to you already about the situation in the Virgin Islands when it comes to selective hiring. You understand me? Hiring based on friends and families rather than qualifications. And it doesn't stop at the MAP office. It doesn't stop at food stamp. It goes far beyond. That is why we still have unpaved roads that have potholes all over. You understand me? That is why we still have highways and back roads and main roads that have flickering lights, no sidewalks, you name it. The priorities of the Virgin Islands, the governor and the government of the Virgin Islands is not put on the people. When this government, all senators were put in office to work for the people. Why must the people now pay extra taxes to accommodate and to fix the failures of a failing government? If we would hold people accountable, put people in place that is qualified, that don't just talk because a scammer could talk your ear off. You understand me? That is what they are trained to do. Trained to give empty promises that sound good to your ear, that gonna come in and tickle it and caress you all over. But then at the end of the day, you're gonna wake up and ain't got nobody in your bed. You're left alone with the same issues you had before. You ever feel like that? A man come and tell you, yeah, baby, I love you, you know. I come in your life, I'm gonna change everything, I'm gonna make sure you're good. You know, I'm gonna pay your life. Your water. You see that leak in the roof over there? I'm gonna fix that for you. He gonna water you down so much that all you gonna do is be able to spread like peanut butter. And by the time he spread you like peanut butter and get what he come for, he gonna go. Do you think that these officials stay on island? And then guess what? When they're in office, all they care about is ensuring their salaries go up, that they're gonna be getting compensations when they leave office, because they're not there for you. It is supposed to be public service. It is supposed to be public service. It is not for the people anymore. It is for them and their families' pockets. You talk about legacy. What is a legacy with a broken infrastructure? What is a legacy built on top of dead bodies? What is a legacy built on corruption? What is it? I'll tell you what it is. Non-existent. Ayo, blessings, always. You understand me? You know, like when Murata me get a story about an emperor without no clothes. You understand me? It took a child to tell him, emperor, how come you get no clothes? You understand me? You could sit there, you know. But the same friends that applaud you because they don't want to be on the wrong side of you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming in. You know, like I said, you know, it's about morals, standards, and actual leadership. You know, could you imagine being a leader that only leads people to the ends of a cliff? Me, I now follow you. I'm gonna be the one person that gonna build a bridge over to the actual side where I could see the green grass. You understand me? All I could find, close our eyes and just walk blindly. You have VI comics laughing after you. My favorite video of the year is a heap of individual Virgin Islanders, some that had high positions outside, waving flags, talking about what. That's exactly what you got. And poor me, poor us, for being overpowered by people that have an agenda. But guess what? Just like as little as they think we are, is as big as we could be. They're going to make you feel like as if it is best not to vote, not to register. But as Robert Moorhead used to say, when you give your seat up, you allow somebody else to take that seat at the table and start making decisions for you and your family too. So when you want to complain about how high gas be, how high light be, or your assistance this, your assistance that, the road this, the road that. Well, you gave up any place, any chance to sit and say anything. Now your complaints are empty because you don't even do what it takes to make sure that there is a change. You don't even step up and stand up for yourself or your children. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed that the same roads that you're tramping on, butt naked practically, is the same road that Queen Mary walked with our ancestors to ensure that we have freedom, that we could sit here and speak about it, that you could lift up your leg in the air and walk up and grind up and down the road and then go back to the same dirty broke down facilities that pay you less than anything because they refuse to build a wage board to make sure that when they do lift up minimum wage or put out trainings to uplift you rather than to keep you grounded, minimum wage should stay the same so that you could be pushed to do something better, more, be somebody bigger, rather than feeling like it's okay to stay laying on the ground or staying on the first step in your life. It would be a shame to be 60 and 70 years old to look back and see all the opportunities you had or could have looked for, and you chose to stay at bare minimum. It should be a shame. So you could be in the same position all your life with your children watching you and thinking, this is how I should be. This is who I'm going to grow up to be. I'm going to grow up to be just like you. Wanting nothing more than bare minimum too. See me? I suffer from grand mal epileptic seizures. I was known to be an actual liability to all other different companies. So what did I choose to do? I didn't choose to lay down and say, oh my gosh, my neck, my back, oh my seizures, my this, my that. No, because I have eyes looking at me. I have people watching me, not just my children. I have children that look up to me thanks to Anthony Markenberg, thanks to Merlene Lang. You understand me? Thanks to myself, thanks to the community, thanks for who I am. The fact that I go out and I step up and I look out for these children and I give them an example. Even when their mother and their father can't be the example, well, guess what? You have me here. Huh? Don't get mad with me because I speak up where you refuse to. How about you get your voice? I'm talking about VI pride, VI this, VI strong. VI don't look strong to me. VI look weak. And all this time I looking strong is when they give you the bare minimum. A little party here and there. Huh? How I feel to be able to feel free for one day. To then have to go back and put on your shackles. You see, that's exactly what I did to our ancestors. Parade, Juve. Look up at your history. They gave them one day to go out and be able to go and fetch. But now, use the same. You're just mentally enslaved. Modernized slavery. They don't want you to see your potential, who you are capable of being. We are royalty. Hey, if you read your Bible, you'll see, here, the VI, these islands that's out in the waters, we in the Bible, we are blessed. That's why they want you to kill off yourself. That's why they want you to continue to be less. But anyways, let's leave on a nice note. You understand me? Tonight, Serenity's Nest, 7:45 sharp. Doors open at 6 p.m. But movie starts at 7:45. We're watching One Love. And that's exactly what we need to have here in the Virgin Islands. One love, one song, one band, one heart. But no, I only want to act up when you can't cock up. You should be ashamed of yourself because you have children looking at you. They are the future, we are the present, and you are doing nothing but painting the streets red. Men, know yourself, know your place, stand up. I understand that you got to protect yourself, but at what point would you say enough is enough for ally or for all kinds? I get man coming out here touching little girls, little boys, but I want to kill off each other because his chain bigger than mine. He is sitting on the top that belongs to me. Well, let me tell you something. That top don't belong to none of you. Get on your feet. Go and find a trade. Go and make sure that you can make a living and be an example for your children, for your sons. I want to cry when I got to hold somebody and be the pallbearer. Well, guess what? Ayo is who paving that road every single day. And it said, the definition of insanity is when you continuously do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a difference. So, with that being said, people at the Virgin Islands, it is up to you. Just like we want to tell the children them, oh, it starts at home. You need to do better. Well, guess what? Be better so that they could see better, so they could want to be better. The 1% that is doing better isn't enough. And even though I might be at 1%, my percent bigger than all I put together. Because when I drop in hard. You understand me? It's like a fat man in a pool. He gonna make that thing go kaboom. Blessings to all Ayo. Love Ayo. Once again, big up to DTF, Director Film. Numbers to call if you're looking for your t-shirt, mug, book bag, you name it. It's 707-671-2481. Director Film, DTF. Understand ourselves. Also, big up to Josh, big up to Charles Nibs, big up yourself, Mr. Bermudez always, even though you're black, because you have to know how to act. And big up to Miss Pickard, big up to Mr. Foy. Listen, big up to Allah that came out and showed up today. I appreciate all the compliments. You understand me? Big up to Senator Fonseca, Senator Kurt DLA. Big up to Mr. Hubert L. Fredericks. You understand me? And big up to the Virgin Islanders. Start to find your roots. You understand me? Because a tree without roots is easily pulled up. And that is what is happening. They uprooted all Ayo. If we would get deep into who we are, why we're here, and start to act accordingly, guess what? We're going to see change. Just like the young man said, guns don't kill people enough. People kill people.
Just take one step at a time.
Blessings, Aya. Blessings. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you all. Make sure I share the live.